Greetings everyone, welcome back to my sketchbook. The last few videos have been kind of strange. I've been opening up card packs of Pokemon and I've been drawing different things. So I drew this. First time I ever saw this creature, Flittle. The next thing that I drew was this, which is Litten, which is some sort of a fire cat. First time I ever saw that. And then last one, I drew this. And there's no real way to discern what kind of shapes. First time I ever saw this too. So I drew this horrible thing. And somehow it has a neck and I don't know what's going on. But so I got to watch a couple of Pokemon battles of this character. And I am so far off of that. Now, I don't have other references with me. I'm just going to draw it a little bit different and hopefully a lot better than what I did in the last one. But yeah, whatever is going on here, how was I supposed to know? Anyway, I'm going to open up my inkwell here. And that's really closed up there. Let's try opening it up a little bit nicer. Okay. So, my goodness. Toxicroak. I mean, this is what I kind of use my sketchbook for, is just to kind of play around with ideas anyway. But like, oh, I wasn't even close with whatever I did in that last thing. So this is just for color scheme, I guess. I'm going to try something a little bit different here anyway. And I'm going to still draw it my way, but so basically, this character evolved from like a little frog or toad-like creature, and then it, gets to the next evolution, I suppose. And then it goes to a mega version. But regardless, I'm still going to draw it my way anyway. Let's start off with drawing an eye. And maybe... I'm going to draw it my way anyway. Now, there's something kind of funny about Pokemon to me in general anyway. And I think it has to do with the training part of it. And to me, that's kind of a fascinating kind of world where you can kind of, take care of something and maybe you can make it stronger and faster and that sort of thing. So I think that's kind of a neat aspect. So I'm still kind of learning about Pokemon. I'm not perfectly involved in it. I think it's pretty neat though. Again, this isn't going to look exactly like the character that you know and love. This, to me, it's going to be my version. I don't have like a reference in front of me other than this card, which turns out to be kind of a disappointment anyway. Just to show, dimensions and all that kind of stuff. But it kind of turns out that this character itself doesn't really have a neck as a toad anyway. So I don't really feel bad, but like, how am I supposed to know if it has a neck or whatnot? And like around the eyes here, I didn't see anything that would have indicated that it had this sort of like, I don't know, sort of like a body ridge thing that goes around its eyes as well as its kind of like shoulders and hips. There's no indication that that's kind of what was going on, but anyway. It has unnecessary teeth, so I'm going to give it unnecessary teeth, but I'm going to do it my way anyway. So I hope you had a wonderful day. I hope your week is going to end awesomely. And that, yeah, well, I mean, if you're drawing some pictures, I hope that you explore the ideas that are kind of floating around inside your head just for fun because, well, it's fun. And there's something neat about exploring these things when they're inside of your own head anyway, because how you view things, I think, is very important. Perspective, I guess, is what you might let it float out as. Now, I'm going to do this basically as if, I'm going to treat it still as black and white. I mean, that could change at a moment's notice, maybe along the way, but I'm basically leaving this as black and white, I think. And I'm not going to try to, like, do anything too outrageous with it. But I find that a lot of, like, Pokemon characters are meant to be kind of smooth and fun. I mean, there are some very highly detailed Pokemon characters, and that's cool too. But I'm not going for that. I'm going to try something a little bit different in its detail. And not just because I was disappointed with whatever I did in that last video. It's just meant to be kind of rough anyway, but I don't know, it's hard to sort of look at some of those things. So, let's see. Now it has that kind of like bulbousy neck thing going on here. I'm going to back this out just a little bit, I think. Move this up just a little bit too. Toads have this ability to kind of like keep an air bladder of sorts. And I don't know if it's meant to just like intimidate or to call buddies. I figure that's possibly part of the reason. Now, I'm going to try putting in a shoulder here. And then this design that goes around the eyes also kind of goes around the shoulder and then makes its way down to the hip. Now, if I was doing this in pencil, I wouldn't be as careful as I am right now. And on the back, there's almost kind of like a nodule of some kind. But you don't really get to see perfectly. I mean, I tried to watch the battles, like I said, and I couldn't really get a good look at what was going on. Let's see here. Kind of a Popeye looking forearm. We'll tuck in the thumb. And let's start this strange and awesome claw. Now, I think in the last video I had, whatever was going on with these bands, I had them kind of at the elbow, but from what I remember from the video that I watched, they kind of go down the arm past. Well, they're kind of like forearm marks by the looks of it. And so it goes to a kind of a smaller waist. Let's go from about here. And then we'll keep a kind of an athletic build for our friend. From the hip and thigh area, kind of like really big thigh. I don't know if we would really show like a knee, but I'm supposing that the creature has very short legs anyway, but just very muscular looking. So the leg would kind of tuck in behind here from this kind of perspective. A fun looking heel like this. Top of the foot arch. Let's go with this and out towards a pinky, little piggy toe. Now I don't know if this is supposed to turn into like a giant claw at some point, why that's red compared to the rest of the foot. But then across the toe here, there's almost like another band, or across the top of the foot, I should say. Maybe something like that. I don't know if you got to see what I just did there. That's kind of strange looking what I did here. Okay, well, I will live with that. We're using a almost like we're wearing like a very specific, super awesome bodysuit, maybe? I don't know. I'm going to have to say that this is probably how this creature looks in their everyday life. What to do with that? Well, let's curve this foot a little bit this way. Because I don't understand what that toe is supposed to be doing, even from the video that I watched. That center red toe, I mean. So I'm just making a terrible stylistic choice. And then what would I do with the other arm up here? Well, let's have this one reach out just kind of like a little bit. And maybe, do I want it up or down? then we'll have those stripes. So it's a slightly better version of that Toxicroak in 15 minutes than that last thing. But just for fun, I'm going back one page just to look at what I did, because that is hilarious. What is going on here? All right, well, so that's what I have going on with this. Again, just fun stuff from my sketchbook. Not really meant to be super serious. Just hopefully an improvement. For fun though, I am going to add a little bit of color to this. And it's going to be outrageous. Certain things don't really make sense in my mind. I'm being kind of messy with this, or not really giving it full color saturation. Because if you've been here before, you know what's about to happen at some point. By the way, I'm just doing a little color add down here. We'll take care of the claw. So apparently these things don't really enjoy attacks in a psychic way. That's not really something that they enjoy. They're kind of vulnerable to psychic attack. They're very much kind of like a water-loving Pokemon. The next thing would be kind of like around the mouth a little bit. For fun, I'm just going to darken right around the teeth here. And then this part of the upper lip, kind of. So that's kind of it for the red that I'm going to do. I'm going to humor this creature with a pinkish tongue. I don't know if you're going to get the same sort of color differentiations. It might all look like kind of the same red. A little bit in the eyes for yellow. I'm taking this one serious enough that yeah, maybe it is to make up for whatever went on with yesterday's. But at the same time, that is all right. I like my teeth on that guy better. What do I think of this color? No, I want a darker blue, I think. let's see. This could be a terrible choice, but I'm going for it anyway. I'm just going to streak it in. Let it be a little bit darker around the outside. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do those lines in like black or in like a darker kind of purple or not. We'll find out soon enough, I think. Markers like this are pretty good for playing around with, just to throw color at things. There are people that design in fashion, and they will sometimes just kind of use bits of color rather than super saturation. It's just to get an idea. We'll let things get messy if we need it to. Take care of these monster thighs. The quadriceps, the quads. Make sure the hamstrings are taken care of. And again, I'll say this over and over again, just in case, someone hasn't been here before. I don't want everything in my sketchbook to look beautiful and, well, fully finished. Sometimes it's fun if it is, but that's not really what I use my sketchbook for. I kind of use my sketchbook as this thing where I just kind of explore ideas, and sometimes they're not great, and sometimes they're messy, and sometimes they're not accurate, but there's something that kind of happens when you're just kind of playing around that, yeah, if you're super serious about something, well, it could mess up on you, and maybe you wouldn't be happy with the results. I don't know about purple, actually. Let's... Oh, not that. There's like a gray. Well, maybe I should try... No. No. I'm going to try this purple. And if I have to just sort of darken it out after, then I'll darken it out after. Now, I think, yeah, I'll only go that far. A little bit down here, across this band here. Get a little closer to the edge. Take care of these bands. Fairly stylish looking, other than this air bladder thing that we have going on with the mouth. I wonder if anyone's, made a costume and went out for Halloween. All right. Now we try to make a little bit of a mess here. And then after I might do a little bit more kind of finishing of it. I'll start by going with some of the lighter things here and smooth that out, and then add a little bit of the outside darkness to the inside. I'm going to zoom in on that just a little bit so you can see the mess I'm making. Now, I've yet to sign up for Pokemon Go. I know people that are still very much playing that and looking for all the spots and catching them all. And I know people that collect the cards. I don't know any resellers though, so that's a strange thing, and it's probably pretty fun, I guess, too. I don't know. It's not really fun for somebody if they're looking for a card in particular, like some super rare thing. So a lot of the cards do have tremendous value. It's not a game that I play, though, so I'm not into the reselling and all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of see what's going on with adding water to this type of marker. It really does kind of smooth out a lot of those weird kind of fun lumpy lines, and it helps you create sort of like texture, kind of a murkiness. I have a great appreciation for that. And if you have to, you can get back in there and you can add a bit more. I'm trying to stay away from hitting the red right away because it travels really different than the blue, of course. So just being kind of careful around it. Because red shadows are not the best shadows. But you can. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's your sketchbook. You do whatever you want. You can have a glow if that suits you. Now let's go over to this arm. We're at 30 minutes, and as I said, I'm taking this one a bit more serious than the last one, and still doing it my own way because I don't really want to copy somebody else's work, but I want it to still be recognizable as Toxicroak. So it's kind of my own kind of hang up, I guess, which is unnecessary, but it's still kind of fun. Sort of like if I draw Superman, and if I do it seriously, you know, I might say in my head, oh, I want this a little, you know, look a little bit like, although I wouldn't be able to probably, Alex Ross, who's probably one of my favorite illustrators, who's phenomenal, or Jim Lee, or even anybody that you can think of. I don't really want to draw exactly like them. I do want to kind of have my own way of looking at things anyway. Oh, let's move that up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing to these weirdly drawn feet. Still avoiding the redness. Let's go to this thigh. See if I can envelop this down here. Yes. Kind of going on the outside a little bit. Kind of working through the quad. Some of the dark streaks are still in there, which is kind of cool looking. This is kind of like a waterborne creature, so there wouldn't be a lot of like striation from muscles and stuff like that. Like dolphins are not really ripped, unless you're like, you know, a Nanaue, you know, king shark. I think that guy has like a 10-pack of abs. It's probably from all that surfing and stuff. Oop, move that up here a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to very carefully just sort of smooth out the purple, and then we'll do the reds, and then we'll be kind of done. So this purple is going to show a little lighter and brighter after I add water to it. Go around the eyes with a little bit of carefulness too. By the time I get this done, I might be able to go back in with my regular pen and sharpen up some of the lines that got blurred out by this part of the process. So I wasn't sure if I was going to work on, you know, at some point I'll probably work on the fire cat, Litten. Kind of a, I don't know if that's supposed to play on kitten, but I was more interested in seeing why this creature looked the way it did when I just was playing around. I didn't look up Litten. It seemed like a fun, you know, character when I opened up that package. Down here to the feet. All right. Now it's magic time. Although I don't really believe in magic. We're at 35 minutes. I'm just going to move some of this red around just a little bit. A little bit up here. Got to be careful with it because red travels. Ooh, I don't know if you hear that in the background. That's my good buddy Neville letting me know that I've been hanging out for a little while. He likes to check on me to make sure I'm okay. He's probably wondering who I'm talking to, because, you know, that's what cats are like. I don't know if you notice how the red is kind of like, it really flows differently. At least I kind of notice it that way. But it definitely smooths out kind of nice though. Oh, too much of a water driplet on there. See if I can get this to better. We'll go to the toes down here. Ooh, big water driplet on that one. Move some of that over here. Okay. Quick clean of the brush. Back up to this for a moment. Grab my pen, and I'm just going to do a little bit of outlining and kind of be done with it. Sometimes you don't need to have your sketchbook turn into more than what it needs to be. So some of this is still kind of wet from the last time through, but since I did kind of like the main body, the blue part, it would be slightly drier. So I just have to avoid some of the other spots that still might be a little bit wet. And I don't know if it's worth putting like battle scars, or I think they kind of renew themselves after they get back into the Pokeball. So they recover. I think that's part of what goes on with them. If you know that, let me know. But I think that's like there's a recovery thing that you try to do for your buddies after you have them do battle. Now let's see, over here, just smoothing out some of these lines. It's kind of surprising. I think what a little bit more information can do. Yeah, that last, well, anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling on about that. It's just funny. You do with what you're given. or deal with what you're given. If you don't get enough information, that's what you end up with. A little bit of uncommon shading, which I may or may not bring out the brush and water again just to blur away some of those little streaks. We're coming to the end here, or as far as I feel like going, I should say. For our Battletoad, which was a very difficult game, mind you. Well, I think that is going to be it. Let's see what that looks like. Backed out a little bit, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I think that's probably going to do it for now. I think if I go much further, you kind of overwork a couple of things, but there would have been no way to really come up with that, I think, from the Pokemon card that I got to see from the very first time. So let me darken this claw over here. That is it. Well, I don't think I need to go any further. I think that's kind of fun just as it is. So, all right, folks. I think, about 45 minutes for the second attempt on Toxicroak and his reckless charge. I think it's a better look, although still kind of strange. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. And, oh, you know what? I was about to see you all later kind of thing. But I'm going to fix something in the mouth here. Brighten up some of these teeth. I'll still say, I hope you have a wonderful day, no matter what time of day you get to see this. And yeah, thanks for hanging out, because it's just kind of a fun thing. Oh, I really could put more time into this. A lot more time. All right, folks. Well, I gotta take care of Neville. So let's just say that this is where this should go. I mean, I could add a lot more little detail sort of things here. Just little streaky fun things. Ooh, let's do something with the teeth. And then that'll be it. Okay, I gotta let this go. All right, that's it. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for hanging out. Ciao for now.